Hello and welcome to Kicking Kickstarter with me, Jeccles. I am here with Mark C. Frankel to talk about Wayward Ravens Media Kickstarter project Signed C, The Missing, issue number 2.
Hi, glad I grabbed your attention. Thanks for checking out our reel for our comic book C, The Missing. It's the first series in our signed line. If you haven't heard about it before, it's like Lara Croft meets the TV show Supernatural. But don't just take my word for it. Check out the video and I'll be back to tell you more about us. Young women go missing in the big city all too often. Most, however, aren't models with a talent agent who is also the most infamous sorceress of all time. After a young model misses an appointment, her agent C goes to investigate. Discovering her client's apartment in ruins, C unleashes her supernatural powers and begins a quest to find her. On her search, C enters fantastic realms of both God and man. An echo of the past resounds until a conspiracy to undo the cosmic balance is revealed. Not even the gods are safe, and it will take all C has to defeat a nemesis who outsmarts her at every turn. More than the life of a single human is on the line, as an epic battle threatens to bring down the very heavens. Welcome. I'm Mark Frankel of Wayward Raven Media. I want to assure you there is a right pledge package to fit your budget. It's simple. You give, you get. Right now, sign number 2 is ready to be sent to the printers, and number 3 is nearing completion. So what will we do when your donation makes this campaign successful? Simple. First off, we'll send issue 2 to the printer so you can get it before anyone else. 2, we'll pay our artists in full. And 3, any money that exceeds our goal, we will only use to produce more content. A little bit about us. Wayward Raven Media debuted at New York Comic Con in 2012. Signed is only one of our comic book lines that can be seen here and on our website. Some of the others are also showcased here. I do hope you'll make a pledge. And also, please spread the word. Don't forget to check back about any additional information on stretch goals that we'll put out when we hit certain milestones. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being part of our journey. We truly appreciate your generosity and your time.
So bring us up to speed with The Missing and let us know what happened in issue 1.
Sure. Excellent. So, Signed C, The Missing, it's actually, C, The Missing is one of our series within a greater Signed universe. And it's one in which, gods never really, went away. They weren't some, fictive creation. They're real and they just ended up getting day jobs. So, with that in mind, C is a sorcerer / talent agent who, in issue 1, waits her client for an appointment and finds that she doesn't show up. And so she goes to her house, and when she gets there, she finds blood everywhere and things knocked over, and decides that, okay, I'm going to go track down this young girl. So that's where your journey starts, and she quite literally is willing to go to Hades, to anywhere it takes to track her client down and find her, and ideally bring her back in one piece. But she starts in Hades. That's the first place she goes. She says, well, might as well check the obvious. And does not find her there, and so her journey continues. So that's kind of issue 1 that deals with some of that. Issue 2 gets a little bit deeper. It starts to get into some other fun planes. It starts to interact with some additional gods and goddesses, and kind of goes from there. So it's actually completely done. The Kickstarter behind it, the reasoning for it is we're looking just to get it to the printer. So it's actually in the can ready to rock and roll.
And how did you come up with the concept behind The Missing?
Sure. So actually, oddly enough, we have another series that we haven't published yet. It's actually signed O. And O is another character in this greater universe that we started with. And that's a little bit more rock and roll, if you will, a little bit more of kind of some of that sort of stuff, but still the same idea. The gods are around, and this gentleman owes interactions with them, which haven't always been particularly positive. We decided after writing that we wanted to sit down and write more from a female perspective and have a female protagonist, and so that's kind of where C came from. We thought about some of the great characters in literature and whatnot, and out of that we have C, who is quite possibly the most badass sorceress of all time, right? And I won't allude to too much more. I'll let the reader kind of figure out who she is and where she comes from and that sort of thing. But and so it came out of that. We kind of thought about what would she be doing now, and we thought that it would be really cool if she was actually a talent agent, with her own agency and kind of going out and competing and quite frankly signing talent, right? And that and obviously when that happens, that agreement, she has some duties that she owes to her client as well as her client owes to her. So that's kind of where that I think came from. Probably a long way to answer that question, but
that's all right. And how did you form Wayward Raven Media?
Sure. So Josh and I have known each other for a very long time. Joshua L.A. Jones, he's my co-writer on Signed, as well as one of our other books, Horseman. And then, he has some of his own stuff that we've published. For one, his own novel, Cell. So he and I have known each other for a long time. We actually started out trying to write stage plays together, and failed miserably, to say the very least. I think we had some good concepts and we had some great ideas, but it just wasn't. I don't think it was good Broadway material, quite frankly, or even super off Broadway. Antarctica off Broadway, and we did that, and we enjoyed doing it. I think that we realized that it wasn't the right medium for us, and so we took some of these ideas and we recognized that comics are just a much better medium. The things we can do with them, the stuff we can show, and quite frankly, the thought that comics can turn into TV shows, can turn into movies. There's a lot more options for them. So we sat down and we took some of the ideas that we'd had with these stage plays, and I think they kind of transformed. And we both tend to be very classical minded. We love mythology. We love existential philosophy and things like that. So that's really where that came from. It transitioned into comic books, and so we sat down. We started doing that. We started actually the process of reaching out to artists and getting people to put our books together. Sign C is not the first book that we did, but we did that, and then we asked to be part of Artist Alley at New York Comic Con. We were accepted, which was awesome. And about that same time, Alex Sapunzis, who is our CTO, and he's our artist on Damn Heroes, which is our webcomic. He and I met. He's super passionate about comic books. We started talking. We developed Damn Heroes, and so it all kind of came together. And I would say our official real launch, our birth, if you will, the three of us working on all this stuff, is really New York Comic Con in 2012.
So you didn't create it with comic book in mind. It was more of a better fit for what you were doing.
Yeah, I'd say it was a much better transition, and it wasn't our first stab at it. Actually, I should say Josh has been a novelist. I've written a lot of short stories that have been published in literary magazines, that sort of thing. So we both had this interest in writing. It was just trying to figure out how do we get it out there, what medium works best. And so the first one didn't quite work out, but I think the second one is doing quite well. And
how did you go about creating the project page for Kickstarter?
Sure. So, we all kind of sat down and had some ideas about, what we should be offering and what sort of copy we should put out there. We spent a lot of time really thinking about this one and actually reaching out to folks, asking other people what worked, looking at other campaigns, really trying to get a good sense of what's the right way to go about it. And one of our driving forces is we want to make sure it's accessible to everybody. Like if you look, some of the rewards they're pretty simple. I mean, you can get the book itself for $2, through a PDF, right? Which I think is great. That tries to make it as accessible as possible. Obviously, it's a lot more difficult for me to mail, a whole packet of books to you in the UK, but I can send you all of our PDFs for just $7, right? So it's that was one of our driving forces. We want to make it as accessible as possible. We wanted people to embrace it, to be part of it. We try to find some fun stuff to put in there too. Actually, we quite literally just yesterday, on Friday or Saturday, we sold out of one of our packages, which was actually putting someone in the book. So if they decided, hey, I want to be part of one of our books, for $75 they could be. We sold completely out of that, and we realized it's a great opportunity. And again, a lot of other places, if you look at some of the Kickstarters, they're doing that for $100, $200, $300. We try to keep it pretty reasonable. And so what we did yesterday is we actually sat down and we said, you know what? We also have this great webcomic, Damn Heroes. Why not offer up the ability to be in one of the strips? So for that, we're asking only $45. And so it's something that Alex would then sit down, take some time, really draw that person out as up to them, either a hero or a villain. Again, it's all about, how can we be adaptable? How can we make stuff that people are interested in? We love the fact that people are interested and want to buy our stuff, but we also want to interact with people. We want to be able to make it something that is collaborative to some extent, and really, we want to be part of the community. So that was a lot of what we had in mind when we sat down with the Kickstarter page. And then, quite frankly, it was just up to Josh and I to sit down and plug it all in and put it all up. And we had some help with the video. One of the guys I know, Nick Herms, did an awesome job in the video for us. He made me look somewhat human, it was just a really, because we sat down and did it all together on an iPhone, and then I kicked him over the video. He actually put together all the cuts from all of the artwork and stuff like that. I mean, he just did a really very professional job on it. That was all part of it. I'm trying to think. I've kind of rambled a little bit there, but hopefully that gives you some insight.
Yeah, and what different tiers of rewards are there when people pledge to your project?
Sure. Everything from $2 for the PDF assigned to, $4 for both 1 and 2. Like I mentioned, $7 for all of our library right now. But then you start getting into some other stuff like I think $15 gets you both 1 and 2 as a physical copy. There's some other interesting stuff that includes some artwork from Wayne Brown, who's the artist on Signed. Everything up to, from just maybe something as simple as a sketch card in the comics to, some much bigger pieces. I think he's got 2 pieces in there left that, if someone wants a big, I think it's an 18 by 10 or something like that, piece of original artwork. So, and I have to say, he's a fantastic artist. He's been doing an unbelievable job on this. He's actually working on book 4 right now. He's finished up with all the inks on 3. So, just some of the cool stuff. And I think we have some examples of some of what would be available as well. But there's some big packages. There's like I mentioned, getting yourself into the webcomic now. T-shirts, all kinds of books, all kinds of fun artwork. Right on up to if somebody has a product they want us to push at a con, we're willing to go to a con and wear their shirts and exhibit a little bit at the table for them. So, a little bit of press for people if they're interested.
That's brilliant. And how can people find more about Signed, See the Missing and Wayward Raven Media?
Sure. So we are online, waywardraven.com. You'll actually see all of our comic book series there. You'll get some great stuff, inside look at some of the conventions we've done, just any number of different stuff on our website. Opportunity to buy books, stuff like that. Also, you can follow us on Twitter at Wayward Raven. I'm at Panther Pit, so you can follow me. You can follow Josh, he's at JLA Jones, and Alex is A Sapunzis. But so that's all of us there, and then we have our various Facebook pages for both Wayward Raven and Sign. I'm trying to think of any other, but that's probably the vast majority of it. If you went to Google and did a search on Wayward Raven, you'd probably come up with a whole bunch of hits, and some interviews, some fun stuff we've done, some press that we've had, some really nice reviews that people have said about some of our work. So, yeah.
That's brilliant. And what do you hope to do with it when you reach your goal?
Sure. So what we're asking for is just really enough to pay for the print run and help pay the artists. So at the end of the day, once we hit our goal, that's what we're going to do with the money. If we happen to go over, that's great. We're going to take any additional money and use it to fund other books. It's not something we're going to pocket. We're not going to take it to the track with us or anything like that. So it's really just strictly to get out there and continue to get more comic books, continue to build more exposure, and put more interesting stuff in everybody's hands. We're actually, if we did go over, it would be a great help for helping pay for Sign 3, issue 3. We also have Horseman issue 2 is just about done. With some really cool artwork there. Issue 3 of the Ascendant, our other comic book series, is being done right now too. So we're definitely moving along. We got a lot of stuff in the can, and hopefully it's something that will kind of come out this year. I should also mention we signed a young artist by the name of James Emmett and his series, The Kitty. So we'll also be publishing that this year.
Thank you very much, Mark C. Frankel, for talking to us about your Kickstarter project, Sign C, The Missing, Issue 2.
Sure. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.